What's going on, world? It's your boy at Big Game James _36, and this is basically Seminole Breakdown brought to you by Den Media Group. Always on my BS. Make sure you check out Big Games BS Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9:30 ish a.m. To be able to see all of the different things that we do and provide. We'll give even more Seminole insight as the week goes on. We'll give our breakdowns, but we'll talk about UF, Tennessee. Tomorrow's show is going to be extremely jam-packed with the weekend of events that I just had. Again, we will give more Seminole insight, but today is when I'll be able to go a little bit deeper into it, answer more questions, completely dedicated the next up to an hour for you guys' enjoyment or pleasure or whatever questions that you have that are Seminole related, whether it be to the football team or off the field type things. If you don't get your itch scratched by me, feel free to go over and check out Dope Talk. My brother CJ Wilson will be doing his show at about 7:05, and that's a call-in show. So you'll be able to go check that out as well. For those who don't know, with the channel, we are 148 subs away from that 3,000 number. We're trying to get to 3,000. The minute we get to 3,000, a lucky viewer will get $300 live on Big Games BS. So if you're not a subscriber yet, please go and subscribe or encourage other people to subscribe. Once we get to 3,000, we do a live giveaway, as well as we do another giveaway of of however many likes we have for that. So in theory, somebody could have $300 and 300 likes to the second place person. We also will give away a pair of tickets the Wednesday of every Florida State home game. And we will do that, and if we get to 3,000 subs by then, we will give away another set of tickets as well. If you're a member, you get extra entries into it. You guys have seen it. It's pretty fun, pretty exciting. The only person, it seems like Ramon always wins, but that's a running joke of the show. Trust me. What's going on, Arik? I love the green. Montre. Got to get you in some green, baby. Navy No 407, go Noles. Got everybody. Jay Smith, what up, Big Pun? How are you doing today, sir? Hope you have a great show. Hope I do as well. We got lucky to get out of that one. We escaped. So from Kev, we'll get into that. And we will get into a lot of these different things. First, we want to give an overview of the game, as I love to. And if you have questions, make sure you post your questions, super chat donations, push your question up a little bit higher than everybody else. As always, if we get to over $100 in the super chat, we will do a giveaway as well. But number 3, Florida State survives a late Boston College rally to win 31-29. I got a chance to play for a legend. And one thing about legends is they don't look at the world in the same manner in which we look at it. It's always a more simplistic view. It's always something that's positive and optimistic. Bobby used to say things like running backs, you got to run. Wide receivers, you got to catch the ball. Quarterbacks, throw the ball to the other team. That's an interception. This is a guy that everybody thought was a guru that really said a lot of no shit Sherlock type of things. Another person who used to do that was John Madden as well. Hold on one second. Kai Coleman. Kai and Trey. Yo, I'm recording. I don't need him doing all that screaming. You stop all that damn screaming. You understand me? I am recording. If you can't play together, y'all split. You understand me? Hey, don't make me do it again. Apologize about that, people. Being a parent. But as I was saying, Coach Bowden made this very good statement. He says, a win on the road no matter how many points is by, is better than a loss. And what a lot of people don't realize is, and then also talking to other people, I'm going to give you the breakdown of a season. And as I'm doing this, I want to bring up probably one of the best college football teams recently that we've seen. And this was I do a show with Greg McGarity for the Gator Bowl, and it's called Drive to Selection. If you ever want to know how a bowl game selection works, go check that game. I mean, go check that out. We do it once a week. It's great insight. He's been an athletic director at Georgia. Actually, he retired in 2020 to come take over. But he brought up that a championship team, there's going to be 7 games where you're just going to out athlete somebody. You were going to just straight up dominate. You were just that much better than the team. 7 games. 7 games, you're just that much better. There'll be 3 games in which everything is going to seemingly work out perfectly. Like 3 games, just boom, everything clicked. You guys couldn't have done anything wrong. Then there's 2 games where you're just going to need a miracle or you're going to need a prayer. And he brought this to my attention, and he's a big proponent of FSU and what they're doing over there. And he said last year for Georgia, it was Missouri. It was Tennessee was a tough game. Kentucky was a tough game. And then he brought up, obviously, the Ohio State game, which they were dead to rights until the kicker missed. But I bring up Missouri because that game was 26-22, and it went down to the wire. The Bulldogs obviously had a much better fourth quarter to be able to bring them up out of it. But it was 16-6 going into halftime. It was 19-12 going into the fourth quarter. This is Missouri playing against Georgia, who hadn't lost a game, is the number 1 team in the nation, way, way more dominant. And I think guys got to realize that there are things that are going to happen. A lot of emotions, a lot of things go into these things playing on the road. And I think sometimes we got to step back and realize that sometimes it's not going to look well. But the goal, what is the end goal? The end goal is to win as many games as possible to get us in that college football playoff. They're still not all the way there. They're still getting better, and I think they will continue to be good. But Florida State had a 21-point lead at one point, and then they obviously came down. Now, the thing that's interesting in all of this is that Florida State, while it looks like the sky is falling, didn't necessarily play the worst game. It just almost came unhinged. I'm trying to get here with the Boston College stats. Thomas Castellanos, who I'm going to be honest with you, I didn't know very much about him. And most people really thought it was going to be somebody else, but they brought him in, and he's the one who won the Holy Cross game. This was only his second start. But goddamn, that motherfucker's explosive. And he single-handedly kept him into the game. And he had over 400 yards. He had 400 yards of total offense. He had 2 touchdowns. But putting it in perspective, they scored 21 points on offense, one of which the momentum was swinging in their favor. I'd argue that what makes this different than last year, Florida State lost this game 3 times last year. They lost this game 3 times last year. Clemson, Wake Forest, and I can't think, NC State. And all the time, everybody put it up onto the defense. For people who don't realize, it was 31-10 going into 31-10. And you had two of the craziest plays that could have potentially happened. You had a kick that you fumbled, but that you ended up getting out of that situation with Trey Benson, who if he would have just fell on it, it would have been a much better situation. Then you had a situation where a play was to be made, and you fumbled the ball, and the ball is fumbled, and they scoop and score to get themselves in position to be able to win, to be able to get back into the game. Everybody puts it on one side of the ball. And don't get me wrong, there's plenty of blame to go around. But it just wasn't it was just a game that just wasn't overall well pitched. Now there's the rumor, and I can only say it's a rumor because I don't 100% know if it's true, nor do I care. If a lot of the team had the flu, that kind of comes into it. Ugly weather, colder than what you're used to. I played at Boston College, very boring stadium, and they made the game very, very murky. I'll bring up some things that I can relate to. So the high school that I coach at, not the high school, I'm not a head coach. Apparently, Chris told me that people thought that I said I was the head coach at Mandarin. I don't think I've ever said that, but the high school I coach at, it was pouring down raining on Friday in Jacksonville. Very ugly. We thought we were going to cancel the game. We won 30-0. Don't get me wrong. But it was we didn't perform. Like, we've averaged 500 yards a game and 40 plus points a game, and we only won 30-0. I think we had 330 yards of offense. But it was a game in which our guys just weren't motivated, weren't inspired, and did not play up to what the standard was. Championship teams go through it. The Jags, you saw them, their defense, technically the defense could have played better. But the defense kept them in the game for this long. As they were going through their things, the offense just didn't do anything. What happened was the Noles lost 2 quarters, 2 very important quarters. You lost the first quarter, 7-3. And then you lost the fourth quarter, 13-0. What cannot happen consistently is Florida State's offense go 3 and out or not produce big plays with the playmakers that they have. That's really what it all comes down to. It wasn't just one side of the ball. The other part of it is if you actually just watch the game, not what people are saying, watch the game. You'll see times where the interior line or just anybody are literally moving, trying to make a play going outside of their own strengths. Like if Fisk would have stayed in the B gap, the goddamn quarterback would have ran right into his lap. But he shifts, trying to go to the A gap to get back up to gain position again, and he creates a gap for a quarterback who's fast as hell. That's literally what happened. You want to know why Fuller always looks amazing in the second half, normally with the adjustments? It's probably because he just tells them the only adjustments you need to make is to do your fucking job. If you do your fucking job, everything works out. I promise you. There were a couple blown coverages, but it was a situation where you saw guys who were literally in position to make a tackle or to make a play that just did not make a play. You guys got to get over this shit. It's a phrase in coaching that says the only way that I can make the play better is if I ran it myself, and I can't do that. I'm ineligible. Now, there is a thing that's also you either coaching it or allowing it, but then there are times when just these guys are dominant. Fisk probably had his worst performance of the season. He did not play this bad against LSU. He played pretty rough against Boston College. Farmer did have some high points and had some low points, very inconsistent. And then I don't want to get into the holding part because that's a very easy excuse. Bottom line is, here's what happened. Boston College did come out with the emotions and all the things that they needed and why I hate the red bandana game. But the character that was built on this is what you need. They had to, instead of a lot of times these games, you can turn on each other, much like the timeline turned on the boys. You can turn on yourself as a player and that happens. Now they got to get off the field on 3rd and long. That's the real crazy part. That's consistent on playing Jaden Daniels, playing this young man right here. You've got to get off the field on that in those scenarios. But time of possession was just especially in that first quarter. I was telling somebody Florida State had 2 possessions in the first quarter. Excuse me. Florida State had 1 possession in the first quarter. And that's not just that's on the defense not getting off the field, but that alone, time of possession, playing on the running game, muddying the game up, that's really what lost you. That you didn't have the ball as much as they had. And at one point, I was having this discussion with my friend Scott Flowers on Facebook. Florida State scored on 5 of 6 drives. Like the offense was moving until the offense got completely blanked. And you can't trade 3. Now, I'll say this: you also can't have 2 turnovers. The fumbles were the fumbles were bad. You can't not. We got to be able to fix some of this running game stuff. We'll go into these things a bit. But here's where the real hurt was. We were 1 for 9 on 3rd down. You cannot be 1 for 9 on 3rd down and against the Clemsons of the world, against the other ones. And you also can't bank on this. Now, this wasn't any referee home cooking. The only time I never thought I would see this, but I never thought I would see it twice in the same day. I'm not going to go into the Colorado State game. I'll do that on Monday's show, Big Games BS. I've never seen teams be penalized so much. 18 penalties for 131 yards is fucking insane. And I think that's where you've got to we should have blown this team out with that alone. And some of the comments that people were making, like, why doesn't Fuller blitz? Bitch, we blitzed. We blitzed a healthy amount. We just didn't get there. The guy missed a tackle, or he would roll out, and then then why can't we pick up the crossing routes? Bitch, because we're fucking blitzing and we're running a zone. That's why you can't get the crossing route. You can't pick those up. You can't have it. Like when you blitz, you gotta win. Period. And our guys just weren't winning. Now, again, we could come up with all kinds of I don't even want to get into the excuses, but that's the big thing with that. Now, that's the overall view of what happened. Bottom line, you came out with 31-29 win. We just did not play well. We had times when everybody fell asleep. Offense, defense, and special teams. This is one of the 2 games, as we just talked about. There's 7 games that you're just going to beat somebody from overwhelming talent. There are 3 games when everything is going to click. Then there's 2 games where you just have to just pray to get out of the situation. And this was, again, we prayed to get out of the situation. I don't think Florida State could have played a worse game. I will say probably the Southern Miss game, instead of us playing 102 players and giving so many people something, we probably are still trying to work on cleaning up some things that we need to do. Now, I think also we saw how important a Maurice Smith is in this situation. Though undersized, incredibly has a ton of years of experience at the center position. I think a lot of the stuff that we need to get cleaned up and cleared up, we probably could have utilized his strengths a little bit more. And then Robert Scott probably was a better thing, as well as Akeem Dent. I think some of the plays that we did not make in the secondary probably get made or cleaned up with Dent. So as I kind of go back through some of these things, again, I think the biggest takeaway from all of this is stop worrying about what other fan bases are saying, and just be happy that we're 3-0 today going into Clemson. And maybe this is some good, bad film to get out there so that Clemson thinks we're a little bit worse than what they think. And I also think that maybe Boston College is a lot better than what we anticipated. Because remember, this guy Constellation, whatever his name is, didn't kind of come in until I believe the latter part of the first game. Again, just really, really overall good. I still don't. I think Boston College probably played the best football that they've played outside of the undisciplined play that they could have played. And then again, the defense, I will say that I don't know what plays Fuller could call better, but they've got to play for each other better to get themselves off the field in third and long situations. That's just crazy. How that can happen. But I also want to tell people, let's not let one game define all of this stuff, and stop being hormonal and emotional. This is why alpha male jacks is important. Go get your levels checked, because we should not be even kill if you're trying to be a champion. People are going to give you the best shot. Sometimes you might get knocked out, but we didn't. Take it on the chin, relax, breathe, recover, recuperate. Obviously, it's not optimal to let a team drive down on the first drive and score. But let's not forget that LSU happened. Like, everybody's talking about this Tennessee win from one of our rivals. Like, LSU, it didn't just kick Mississippi State's ass. Like, LSU will beat everybody else they play. And I just, yeah. And going that part. This great question by Chad. He's like, I agree, missing them guys. You think they play against Clemson? I think we will be fully stocked against Clemson. I don't know anything about injuries going on. I believe Bell will be fine. I just think it's probably more precautionary. Also, this is a really good point by Eric. I can say Johnny Wilson showed up with his hands this week. Didn't see Keon much, and us in the two backs, we run through people. So, remember last week, Johnny Wilson and his drops. Everybody's like, oh, man, you know what? We got to move on from Johnny Wilson. We got to do this. This is why I'm saying just chill the fuck out. Imagine had this coaching staff or had people actually listen to social media and what some of our suggestions were. We would have been in a bad place. Johnny came out, showed us why he's Johnny Wilson. I really wish that Johnny Wilson had another burst, because some of those catches just need to be touchdowns. But I'm grateful to have the big target. Keon had some, which he really is better at the 50-50 ball. Didn't have a great 50-50 ball night. Had some drops. I personally think that they were probably not the greatest reads in the world. And I think we got to get Trey Benson a little bit more involved. Or if he can't get it done, we've got to get Rodney Hill, who seemingly can get it done. There's somebody. Oh, and Destin Hill, Winston Wright. And again, we saw what happened with Jaheim Bell. So going to the offense, here's what I think is happening. Jordan Travis, and I've always told people, our offense goes, our team goes as far as Jordan Travis's legs take us. Similar to Trevor Lawrence, if you're a Jaguar fan. Today, Trevor Lawrence had oodles of opportunities to go pick up a first down and move the chains with his legs, but he decided to step back and try to throw the ball, which if they catch it and it works, that's fine. But football is a game about getting ahead of the chains, in particular the way that our offense works. You've got to be able to get ahead of the chains. You can't have second and long. You've got to be able to have 2nd and 5 or 2nd and some yardage. If we don't have that, it's not a lot. It's another phrase. Not a lot of good plays for 3rd and 10, and that's just not where we're at. So when you have J Trav and J Trav uses his legs more, it really makes the other team go. Now he's using his legs to try to set up the throw, which I think is great. But right now we need him to use his legs to move the chains. Because once you start scrambling and you move around, you really cut off the field, half the field. So you can't really see what's going on outside of where you're running, unless there's only one guy I've ever seen be able to do that, and that's Patrick Mahomes. And right now he's not Pat Mahomes, but he's looking to throw the ball, and I can 100% agree with that. I don't go as far as what a lot of people are saying. He's trying to win the Heisman, because I don't think that's the type of person that he is. but I do believe he's trying to make as much of a play as he could possibly do with his arms to show that he's not just an athlete that can throw the ball. And I think that's going to actually that's what the only kind of thing that's setting back the team, including the running game. The running game is dynamic when he pulls it. And again, I don't know if they've been always just gives, but sometimes I think if he would pull, it would make them have to respect it. I think he did it once or twice. It always works. It's always explosive. I also think that sometimes you can rely on your strengths too much. And our two strengths are Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman. I really think now what happened was, if you notice how Jaheim Bell started to explode, that middle of the field is wide ass fucking open because everybody pays attention to Keon and Johnny. So if Keon and Johnny are always having jump ball situations, that means they're either being double covered or bracketed or something that's making that a difficult catch. That means somebody's wide the fuck open. There were a couple of times where I believe, had he just been a little bit more patient, gone through his progressions, not try to hit the home run, just hit the again, the crossing patterns were open for us as well. I won't, again, let me go back. I don't think people understand how hard it is to defend that when you have a mobile quarterback. You move the pocket. If you're bringing pressure, especially if they move the pocket away from where you're bringing pressure, the crossing patterns are going to be there. Like, we can pick that stuff up. I think we're just going downfield. A very simple way to look at it is a naked boot. So you fake the stretch, you roll out, you got a slam release by one guy, you've got a drag route by another guy, you probably have a deep comeback by another guy. If all three of those are basically flooding the zone, if all three of those are covered, then you got the backside post wide the fuck open. But that's just, that should be wide the fuck open. And if it's not, then that means the quarterback should be able to run the ball. So there's a lot of things that that come into play with that. I just think when you've got a guy like Keon who can catch it. Like, I think he had a couple drops. Again, I'm not even going to put up those drops on him. Obviously, he did drop it. Would have been very difficult catches. But we got to be able to take advantage of the short to intermediate game. And one of the things we try to take advantage of the short game. Running back fucking fumble the ball. Just can't have running backs fumbling the ball. Again, just imagine if we don't have that fumble. And we're able to, even if we don't score, we're able to maintain a drive that's able to get us a little bit more points or take away more time off the clock. Imagine where we would be at if that situation was there. So I think hold your horses. Stop. Would you take an Ohio State 2002 national championship? What do you mean by that, James? Ohio State was in a dogfight damn near every fucking game they were in 2002. But hold on. Oh wow, Miami fans about to create a beef with Colorado. There's more stuff to talk about tomorrow. But the biggest thing is understand that every game, the only time every game is a blowout, it always works, is in Madden. The other team has guys that are on scholarship. They have cats that they believe in. They have coaches that get paid. I really think that this Boston College team could probably be a bowl eligible team. And maybe at the end of the season, we'll look back on this as if it's not. And the other crazy part is, don't believe me, look at our 2013 team. 2013 is probably one of our most favorite national championships because it's the most recent. You know who they struggled with? Boston College. They had one of the greatest quarterbacks in Florida State history. They had one of the greatest running backs in Florida State history. They had a wide receiver core that all got a chance to get some coffee in the NFL. They had one of the best tight ends in Florida State history. They had a defense that had everybody on the 2 deep drafted. And Boston College gave them hell too. So just always keep things in perspective. Again, just chill out. Nothing is really that big. And again, I'll say last year we lose a game like this. First quarter takeaways that I had, I think we didn't come off the bus or the plane ready to play. Boston College did. Our offense just wasn't simply in sync, and our D line was getting pushed around. Boston College moved the pocket, and when you're moving the pocket, if your players are freestyling, that definitely is not optimal. And again, not being able to get off on third and long, I think those are things that just hurt you tremendously. Now, also we benefited from a lot of drops. Trying to think where I got my second quarter takeaways. The defensive adjustments for moving on for the rest of the season is do your fucking job. Like you got to be able to bottle up the quarterback and force him to throw it. Like I think when it looks really like shit, last thing we want is this motherfucker throwing. When we didn't bottle him up and he was able to roll out the pocket, somebody was open. He was able to find it. J Trav being a cheat code, sometimes he uses that too much, which is also why he got hurt. And we got to be able to get some turnovers. And I will say this, the fullback, when you give the ball to the fullback, good things happen. Shout out to BC Barstool or Barstool BC. They gave a donation to the MFTK Foundation. I'm going to give a donation to the Wells Crowther Fund because it is a good, I don't think it's honorable to be picked at no more than I think being somebody's homecoming is honorable. But I will say it is a seriously a dope thing that they're that young man did. Well, I say young man, he was older than me. He died young, but he did for 9/11. Saving people's lives and making the ultimate sacrifice. So, if you get a chance right now, everybody, please go push the like button. We have 68 currently watching. I also make this statement right here. If you got any questions regarding the game, regarding Florida State, regarding matchups with Clemson, this would be the great time to ask that. I don't know anything about injuries, so I'm not even going to pretend. So if you ask that, I probably won't even acknowledge it. But we're 3-0. Go jam the like button, subscribe, consider becoming a member. We were at 100. We're back at like 79 members, trying to get back over that 100 member mark. Members get access. All-in members get a lot more access than others. The monies that are raised on this go toward making giving the ultimate fan experience and a bunch of other stuff. We're 148. Make sure see if it's changed. Oh no, we are 145 subscribers away from 3,000. Once we get to 3,000 subs, we will give away $300. So that's the sell. You don't have to do anything. Here's the question from One Cool Rattler: what weaknesses does Clemson has that plays into FSU's strengths? Right now, if I'm being 100% honest with you, it's their lack of dynamic playmakers at wide receiver. Their strength is still Will Shipley, and I can't think of the other running back's name. But Cade Klubnik isn't as mobile as this guy or as the last guy who's over at he's at Oregon State. Who's at Oregon State DJ. And I think if with us getting the opportunity, now it's not that he's immobile. He's just not. That's just not his shtick. If we're able to play a guy who's in the pocket a little bit more, we can fluster him. And when we do bring pressure, we can actually be able to get to him. So that's on offense. That's one of the things that I do believe, and we can probably get away with our big physical DBs being able to do a little bit more against Clemson. That would, and we'll be able to get home, which is one of the key things. Again, everybody's talking about how much we didn't blitz, and I'm like, nah, we blitzed a good amount. We just weren't able to get home. That's one of the things that are really, really that I was a little upset with. But I think Cade ain't missing tackles and making guys. He ain't as shifty as this Castellano guy. That motherfucker was. Hey, listen, dude. One of the things I think a lot of us got to do a better job of is game recognizing game, baby. That motherfucker good, bro. Like just sometimes it's okay to recognize that a guy is pretty good. I'll say this on defense, though. I think what we have to attack is the middle of the field. Is our safety, excuse me, our tight end and our slot receivers have to get more active into the game. I think J Trav needs a 300 yard passing game as well for that. Um, all dubs. I think we use the tight ends versus Clemson to open the passing game. I think that's really, I think what people get focused on this with 7-on-7 is deep ball. It's like that baseball commercial on ESPN a few years ago. Chicks dig the long ball, right? But what I always tell guys is you can the intermediate route or the dump off route will make people play up, which will give you the opportunity to take the top off of a defense. So you have to be able to you know, you got to be able to do that. So, Kev, I want more Biscuit. Love Biscuit. What is Morlock's purpose? Morlock's purpose is that he doesn't block like Biscuit and he doesn't run like Bell, but he's still a good tight end. I think, guys, everybody, one thing about our offense, and one thing about offenses in general, is there will be a guy who steps up every week. Chris did on Sporadics last year. We noticed that it was a wide receiver each week that was popping up and being that dominant guy. So we'll see that pool season. Appreciate the super chat there for you, brother. People forget we recruited BC's QB as a running back. Probably had a little piss and vinegar about that. Probably wasn't extremely happy. Guys who want to play quarterback like are always fucking mad when they don't get recruited by the school they want to as a fucking as the quarterback that they want to. You know, Clemson hasn't played anybody as good as we are. Excuse me. And conversely, they haven't. I mean, our opponents have been better than what their opponents are, obviously. So they lost to Duke. They blew out Charleston Southern. They blew out FAU. I would argue that Southern Miss and Boston College are better than who they've played. Cool Rattler puts, I think we can win by 14 if Jay Travs go through his check downs, gives Rodney Hill more carries. The defense has shown where they can stop drives. The offense just has to take advantage of. It's a bend don't break type of defense. And I think our offense everything has to be complementary. So what does that mean, James? It means that our defense is going to give up some big plays. That's just how, even if you blitzed all the time, if you put guys in man situations, there's going to be a big play given up. Our offense has to make sure we punish people, and we take other offenses out of their game plan. It should be a situation where our defense stops them, and we already know we're going to score. And once you get up 14, get up 2 scores or get up 3 scores on somebody, it puts them in a panic situation because they know at any given time you can score. And I think that's where we've got to become a little bit better as a coach. They're doing a great job as a coach staff. They know what they're doing. But I just think as a fan base, just chill out and understand that the game is going to be is going to get better. A lot of people calling for Rodney Hill to be a starter. I think they do running back by committee, so there really is no true starter at Florida State. Trey Benson is the starter. I think guys got to, again, it's the same thing that people did with Johnny Wilson. And so what have you done for me lately mindset? Realize Trey Benson scored 3 fucking touchdowns last week. Again, Boston College in a wet situation said, I'm going to make Jordan Travis throw a wet football. And I think Jay Trav went into that with the mentality of, I'm going to throw it to my most sure-handed people, and I'm going to lose. If we're going to lose, I'm going to lose with Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson. And I think what our running game was the way it was. Oh, and that's why I brought up. So Mandarin, we've rushed for 250 yards or more every game this season outside of last week. We rushed for 162 yards. Actually, it's better than I thought we were doing. When I tell you they brought 6 and 7 and just dared us to throw the wet ball. and it was just it's very difficult to throw the ball in the conditions that we had, even though we practiced literally dunking the ball. But like bad snaps, bringing pressure, it's hard to be able to get the unless you block it right to be able to get the stuff that you want. We got a new member, First Love. Appreciate you coming through, man. Welcome to the family. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This is what happens with the best Kev. Everyone will be giving us our best shot every week. You just have to win that turnover margin, of course. And I want to say bigger than that. And this is what I'm going to talk about on. I don't know if anybody watches any other games other than Florida State. I love football, so I watch football all day. I'm actually kind of half watching the 4:00 games right now because I have to talk about them a little bit. But I watched the Jags all day today. I was kind of I was with the Gator Bowl, doing a weekend retreat in Amelia Island, and they were like, "What are you doing?" I'm watching fucking football games on my phone while they're all networking and doing all kind of other shit. But this was one of the craziest weeks in college football that I ever saw. While we're bitching about losing to Boston College that we could clearly see has some talent, Alabama was in a fucking dogfight with South Florida. Georgia was in a dogfight with South Carolina up until a certain point. Texas, too, for whatever reason, they have jumped us. Literally barely beat Wyoming. Colorado State, who was a 24.5-point dog, should have beat Colorado. And I can go on. BYU beat Arkansas. Florida whooped Tennessee's ass. A lot of crazy shit happened this past weekend. So, like, for us to get out of that motherfucker with 2 wins, it's great. And I do think we'll probably see a lot of two-back. The two-back seems to work. Why does two-back work more than just single-back? Because if you want to win, you need a fucking fullback. And people don't realize, like, what will we do with two-back? That's where you basically it's nothing more than 21. Let me make sure I'm saying it right. 12 personnel. For us, it's 12 personnel. And the reason why it's 12 personnel is because we'll have one tight end, Jaheim Bell or Preston Daniel would be your fullback, and then you have your running back. So it's 2 tight ends, 1 back. If DJ Lundy's in, it's 21 personnel. Personally, don't think you need DJ Lundy to be able to go down there and do it, but all you need is a willing blocker. You don't have to be a devastating blocker in these situations. You need to be able to go in there, lead, and clear away. And what happens is when you see if you're doing ISO, or even if it's still running the stretch and we're able to go seal the edges, if you see somebody kind of coming free, that's where you can kind of go in and help that lineman, and now you create more holes when you have a good fullback. Rob Lassiter puts this: did we win because of BC's penalties? Definitely played a role in it. I can promise you that. But not really. The penalties that they got weren't like when teams typically win due to penalties, it's because when teams win because of penalties, they win because like a pass interference happened that scored a touchdown, or something other than that happened. Like a false start, that's on you. Like, in hell, even with all of the false starts, they were getting 3rd and long and still converting them bitches. Nothing really, no touchdown was really taken off the board because of a Boston College penalty. I might have extended a drive or two, but a lot of them were like really, like, I've never seen it before. They didn't really get a lot of holding penalties, but they got like, I've never seen that many false starts before. That was really wild to me. So just a lot of undisciplined play. Yeah. Somebody put we need a shifty back or a bowling ball back that can run between the tackles. I just think it's just the way that our offense is designed. A bowling ball back that can run between the tackles it's hard to do that out of the gun. Like, that's where you need to be in the pistol. That's more downhill. I personally think that's what Trey Benson is probably better at. But I do trust Yak. I know Coach Coach Atkins, they know what they're doing. I'm pretty sure if you watch the film, if they were watching the All-22, they probably see where he's just missing the holes right now. Eventually, it'll get better as the season goes on. Also, having some a little bit more fluidity and experience in the line will probably um, help that as well. That's just my opinion. Um, Again, I just really think it was one of those games. I think moving somebody put I noticed we move Fisk around, but we don't move Verse. They do. If you look at Patrick Payton and Jared Verse, they're both off of the line until the line gets set. They move around with those different things. I just think people got to realize that Jared Verse is really who teams are like looking at. Patrick Payton's actually played pretty well up until this point. Um, and I think that's going to be good. So no one was a championship team this last weekend. I would like to see Lundy knocking people over on our offense. I need Lundy doing exactly what he's doing at linebacker. Um, Richard Peretti played fullback in high school. If you're picking up good blocks, you can really make the running game go. Agreed. I love fullback. It's a position I played. I knocked a lot of motherfuckers out. I just really think that you got to have really, really good vision. This again, I just think we haven't. I think again, 7-3-2. 7-3-2. 7 games you win because you're better than everybody else. 3 games you win because everything is clicking. 2 games you win because you just got prayer and fasting. I personally don't think we've even had the three. I don't think we've had one of the 3 games where everything was clicking because LSU we had 6 drops in the first half. If everything was clicking, that would have been a blowout from jump. I think that was just a game where we were just more talented than them. Same as SMU, not SMU, excuse me, Southern Miss. I don't want to disrespect them. Southern Miss. I just think Boston College is the game that we just had to ride out. Um, Seems like we're always in a dogfight with BC and NC State. Can't ever really count. I can attest to that. I played against NC State, have no fucking idea why it's always a fight with them. Again, anybody have any questions, please feel free to drop them off in the comments. Please push the like button. Please go subscribe. At last check, we were 145 away from 3,000. Once we get to 3,000, we're 144 away from 3,000. Once we get to 3,000, we'll give away $300. Um, on the positive note, positive side of the game would have been an L 2 years ago or an L last year. Exactly. That's the one thing I want people to harp on. We had that game 3 times last year. NC State, Wake Forest, Clemson. Could not pull it apart, could not bring it together. The one thing I will say that I don't like, and again, it's me being critical across the board. We can't put our defense in bad situations. We cannot be blanked from touchdowns in the first and the fourth quarter. We have to be able to score. We have to be able to continue to push the gas pedal on teams. I think we've got too cute. We get cute at times. We have lulls. We can't do that. I think if we play our complete game, there's not a team in the nation that can beat us. What better way than get over the 7-year hump? I mean, the 7 straight game hump with Clemson this weekend going through. And I will put this up there because I definitely agree with that. Trayshawn Ward presence in the backfield is felt. Trayshawn Ward was a really, really good back. He just did not have the breakaway speed. It reminded me a lot of James Robinson, who was here with the Jaguars. He was a 20+ yards pickup king. He was going to move the chains, and sometimes that's not appreciated on a college level. He's doing his thing at Kansas State right now. Another one that would probably be phenomenal in this offense would be Webb. And Webb is at Southern Alabama, and they just had a pretty big win over again. They upset somebody. They upset Oklahoma State quite convincingly the other day. So again, it could be worse. Yep. But outside of that, anybody Any other questions? We got to 99. I wish hope everybody goes and jams the like button. Appreciate everybody coming. Those who showed up late, please go back and listen to the entire show. Leave your comments, do things like that. Um, please go check out my brother CJ Wilson with Dope Talk here coming up. He's got a call-in show. Be some really good knowledge. And again, what I always tell people is this: keep it even, kill. Don't worry about what people are saying and trolling. Like at the end of the day, I'll take Ohio State national championship from 2002 if that's what it comes to. Again, we got another question. As long as we got questions coming in, I'll keep it up. Do we have a nose tackle like Derek Nandi? I feel our D tackles line up between the tackle and the guards all the time. I think Nandi was just a bigger guy. Actually, he did a really good job, especially against the run. I don't really know if we have a guy of that caliber currently, but um, I think Fabo and Fisk. I really just think our guys are just trying to are falling into this trap that they have to make plays, as opposed to just doing what their job is and letting the plays come. People say that press. I think if our guys stop pressing, I think they'll be more successful, and that just means do your job. What changes would you like to see on offense heading into Clemson? Two back. Attack the middle of the field and in intermediate routes and stop worrying about going deep every play. And I would like to see Jay Trav use his legs more if he's healthy. I know he jammed his shoulder up a little bit, probably banged up, needs to rest a little bit. And outside of that, but I that's really the only thing that that's the only thing I would like to see. So on that note, hope everybody is having a great weekend. I hope that you guys will consider checking out Big Games BS on tomorrow around 9:30 ish. Good morning drive show, good hanging out. Curse a little bit, so you might want to keep it on, keep the volume on low a little bit if you're around kids. But we'll talk about college football. We'll talk about the NFL. We'll talk. Actually, I'll give you a little preview of what all we will talk about. It'll be about an hour and a half. We'll talk about what our housekeeping would be. Oh, we're raising funds. We got Jack Coleman coming to the Duke game. Jack is a young man who had a tumor right behind his eyes, and the surgery and the treatment caused him to lose a significant portion of his vision. He's going blind. One day he will effectively be blind. He'll be my guest for the Duke game. So hopefully Florida State will be able to do what they need to do. But want everybody to try to come in, show love or whatever. We will do another FSU recap. We'll talk about UF Tennessee, CSU versus CU, more of a college football recap, Jags versus KC, NFL weekend, and just a bunch of other different things or whatever you guys have. Fridays, we do our call-in for members. None of the members are taking advantage of it, but we'd love to hear you guys' voice. And, we just got to persevere. We haven't been in this position in quite some time where all eyes are on us, and it's easier to talk about it when most people have never been through it. I personally remember what it's like to go through this. 2005 at Florida State was a year where we had all the accolades, we had all the talent, and we had a lot of guys who got a chance to go to the NFL. And what happened was everybody was so focused on going to the NFL that we forgot that the goal was to win championships and to leave a legacy. Now, we still won an ACC championship, played in the Orange Bowl, but we left a lot of meat on that bone. So I think these guys love each other. They care for each other. And I think they're just, again, we have to remember that a lot of these guys are still young men. 22 to 23 years old is still very young. I mean, some of y'all might be that. Some of y'all might be older. Still very young. Still going to make a lot of bonehead decisions. And when you're doing that stuff on the field, millions of people watching you, 75 to 85,000 people in the stands, it's very bad. And even the best have off days. It was an off day. I'm going to go with that. That's kind of where I'm going to go with. And hopefully they won't have that behavior again. Appreciate everybody for chopping it up with me. We will see you guys tomorrow for Big Games BS. And again, share, like, let's get to that 3,000 subs so I can give away this $300.